Supreme Court bans National Assembly from amending 1999 Constitution. Secretary to State Government lauds Nigerian military for tackling insurgency in northeast Nigeria. And Commissioner for Education scores Akpabio administration high for free and compulsory education. Details of these and other stories in a minute. Good morning and welcome to the news. I am Samuel Udofia. The Supreme Court has stopped the National Assembly from taking further steps towards amending the 1999 Constitution. In a ruling yesterday morning, a 7-man panel of justices of the Apex Court, led by the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Mahmood Mohammed, ordered the National Assembly to maintain the status quo on the matter until June 18. The Supreme Court further directed the issuance of hearing notice on the National Assembly for it to appear on that date to respond to the suit that was lodged against the proposed alteration to the Constitution by President Goodluck Jonathan. The Secretary to the State Government, Engineer Nkem, has commended the efforts of the Nigerian military in stemming insurgency in some parts of the country. Speaking in Uyo during an interactive session organized for participants of the Nigerian Army College of Logistics, Lagos, Engineer Kanem noted that the labor of the Nigerian Armed Forces in keeping Nigeria united shall never be in vain. The story is here presented.
Engineer Nkereme Kanem stated that the choice of Akwa Ibom for the industrial study tour by the Nigerian Army College of Logistics points to the high regard for the giant strides recorded by the present administration in its effort to change the industrial landscape of the state. The SSG said that Akwa Ibom state government has consistently supported the provision of microcredit facilities to grow small-scale industrial activities in line with the administration's belief in creating wealth, generate employment, reduce poverty, utilize the local natural resources, encourage income distribution for improved welfare of the people. Engineer Kanem, who considered the theme of the study tour, harnessing the industrial and natural potentials of Akwa Ibom State for national development as suitable, said Akwa Ibom was blessed with numerous industrial materials, explaining, however, that government was providing the needed conducive industrial climate to encourage manufacturing in addition to promoting integration through intersectoral linkages. He appealed to the federal government to take steps to reactivate the 2 federal industrial establishments in the state, the Nigerian Newsprint Manufacturing Company Limited, Okuiboku, and the Aluminium Shelter Company of Nigeria in Ikorobasi, adding that these companies, if reactivated, are capable of positively affecting the entire Nigerian economy, including the military.
By this transformation, our independent power plants IPP now generates 191 megawatts of electricity.
Presenting a position paper on the theme, Harnessing the Industrial and Natural Potentials of Akwa Ibom State for National Development, the Commissioner for Commerce and Industry, Elder Fort Nkanwude, explained that the Ministry of Commerce and Industry was the pivot that drives industrialization in terms of policy initiation and implementation. He noted that its focus is on developing the real sector of the economy, creating wealth and generating employment for the people of the state. Elder Nkanwude hinted that the ministry, in collaboration with technical consultants Hyundai I&C Incorporated of South Korea, the program named ISO Standardized Industrial Program of Akwa Ibom State, aimed at ensuring product quality and ISO compliance. Some of the industries selected for the program, he said, will roll out products that will satisfy the needs of the Nigerian Army and other security agencies. The Commissioner for Economic Development, Mr. Ante Okwong, in his presentation, told the participant that the state has launched an industrialization drive through Akwa Ibom State Industrial Corporation, to ensure orderly industrialization of the state. He said that the program will provide logistics guide and support for potential investors with the requisite capacity to invest in the state. Pointing out that Akwa Ibom State has abundant mineral resources such as oil, natural gas, limestone, clay, gold, salt, silver, nitrates, aluminium, and glass sand. He said that most of these mineral resources can support the establishment of petrochemical, glass manufacturing, ceramics, and cement industries in the state. The Special Advisor to the Governor on Technical Matters, Engineer Etidi Nyang, in his presentation said that the state government has provided enabling environments for influx of investors into the state through the provision of requisite infrastructure and involvement of investment-friendly policies of the current administration in the last 8 years.
When you hear about quality, there are two ways of quality. We are looking at the quality of products, the quality of the industries, in terms of produce.
Responding on behalf of the participants, the Commandant, Nigerian Army College of Logistics, NACO, Lagos, Major General Abubakar Gana, stated that the way on industrial study of the state. He said the tour will enable them to critically assess the possibility of harnessing the industrial and natural potentials that abound in Akwa Ibom for national development. Major General Gana gave the assurance that the study team will at the end issue a communique that will catalog those items that can be produced and branded Akwa Ibom products. He thanked the government and the people of Akwa Ibom State for the warm reception and hospitality accorded them.
The Commissioner for Education, Professor Atem Antai, has scored the policy of free and compulsory education introduced by Governor Godswill Akpabio administration very highly. Professor Antai made the remark when she received participants of the Senior Executive Course number 37 from the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies, Kuru, Plateau State, who are on a local study tour of the state. The story, once again, is presented in our studios.
Represented by the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry, Dr. Rosemary Essien, the Commissioner informed the participants that the state government has invested huge financial resources in the education sector, noting that the policy, apart from resulting in the geometric rise in the enrollment of pupils and students in schools, has made education accessible and affordable by Akwa Ibom youth of school age and non-indigenous residing in the state. The education that under the policy, every Akwa Ibom child goes to school from the primary to senior secondary level free. She said, in addition to free tuition, the Akwa Ibom administration has also paid a subvention of 100 naira per primary school pupil and 300 naira per secondary school student to cater for the logistics. The Commissioner also informed the NIPSS participants that the current administration in the state has in the last 8 years undertaken massive rehabilitation and reconstruction of school blocks, provision of science and laboratory equipment, construction of hostels, and supply of desks in order to create a conducive learning environment in schools.
The inception of his administration, giant strides have been recorded in the sphere of education.
At the State Ministry of Science and Technology, the Permanent Secretary, Dr. Nestor Udo, explained that the present government has given tremendous assistance to the ministry in the area of science and technology. Dr. Udo noted that this achievement would not have been possible but for the government's intervention and investment in the development of science and technology. He stated that with the world as a global village, science and technology are the major determining factors in the world's competitive market. The Permanent Secretary noted that as a fast-developing state, government has geared its effort at the development of science and technology in Akwa Ibom. Dr. Udo informed the participants of the avenues employed by the government in this regard to include sponsorship of Akwa Ibom indigenes for ICT training in foreign countries to enhance human capacity development, creation of science and technology and information awareness through international conferences and workshops in the state, organizing of Science and Technology Summit in the state, as well as sponsorship of yearly science and technology fairs and exhibitions to showcase local industrialists, entrepreneurs, engineers, technologists, inventions, and products.
But as somebody who I work closely with in this administration, as a key participant in the administration, I want to say that at least 90% of the vision of His Excellency and
Responding, the directing staff for the group, Dr. Nasreddin Osman, told the ministries that they were in the state to critically assess government efforts towards the repositioning of Nigeria's educational system for global competitiveness. Dr. Usman gave the assurance that the request made by these ministries and the challenges they face in the course of discharging their official responsibilities shall be incorporated in their reports to the presidency. The visitors were made up of the Director of Studies, National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies, and leader of the team, Professor Celestin Bassi, directing staff for the group, Dr. Nasreddin Osman, Deputy Director of Special Duties, Mr. As Peter Omar, and Chief Librarian, Mr. Gabriel Ame. They also visited and interacted with the principals and the management staff of Uyo High School, Uyo, and Afagabo Secondary School, Abak local government area.
As more groups organize victory marches to identify with the governor-elect for Akwa Ibom, Mr. Udom Gabriel Emmanuel, the latest among them, Vision 31 Grassroots Initiative, has rounded off its victory march for Mr. Emmanuel. The march began from Ekep Township and ended at the Awaiman in Onna local government area. The rest of the story is presented.
Members of the group from the 31 local government areas of the state sang victorious songs to herald the victory of their principal and governor-elect, Mr. Udom Emmanuel. The march took them through some major streets in Ekep and terminated at Awaiman. Speaking, the state coordinator of Vision 31, Mr. Charles Uwa, appreciated God for seeing them through the campaign period without a single negative incident. He expressed joy and thanked God for the emergence of Udom Emmanuel at the polls, attributing this to God's mercy and benevolence.
He come Abasi, get the victory. Akebasi na onion. Abasi na mkono kwa ibu. The joining of Gospel of God 5 Yokotongoke, I hope that joining will continue. Mefen ponu sonoro. Mefen timporo mi Gospel of God 5 Yonama ke kwa ibu state. Nina baseri ben Udom Gabriel Emmanuel. Adi no onion.
Also speaking, the National Coordinator of Vision 31 Grassroots Initiative, Engineer Isaiah Esienokpai, explained that they were excited at the victory of Mr. Udom Emmanuel, saying Udom's victory is the victory of Akwa Ibom people.
Because no matter what you hear, this is the only group, although 100% in support of administration of Udom Gabriel Emmanuel.
The National Secretary, Mr. Kufre Akpabio, noted that the victory march was a demonstration and manifestation of the Akwa Ibom people.
Zigo Gaygana, I wanna de Wuko, I wanna de Wuko, I will get St. Jadis de Wuko, I will use St. Jadis de Wuko, I will go to Wuko, Anama, Unai so.
Others included Mr. Amana Mkanga, Mrs. Benedict Greg, Dr. Kono Panamon, and Mr. Udo Asukwo. Earlier, the Vision 31 Grassroots Initiative had organized a solemn assembly to thank God for Mr. Udom Emmanuel. The event took place at the Assemblies of God, Edebum, where Obong Basi Esien Kanga spoke Mr. Emmanuel.
We are also here as children of God, as partners in the mission to move the gospel forward. We are also here as campaigners for peace
in Akwa Ibom. We are here as crusaders for peace and justice in Akwa Ibom State and by extension in Nigeria.
On News for you right after the break. Stay with us.
This is a public service announcement. The government of Akwa Ibom State wishes to bring to the notice of visitors and residents of the state steps to take in preventing the incidence or spread of the deadly Ebola virus disease in Akwa Ibom State. The Ebola virus can be contacted through any of the following ways: contact with the body fluids of those who are visibly sick from the disease, contact with the corpse of somebody who died from the disease, contact with an animal that is carrying the virus, especially fruit bats and monkeys. Symptoms of this deadly disease include sudden high fever, persistent headache, diarrhea, vomiting, general weakness, joint and muscle ache, sore throat, chest pain, internal and external bleeding. To prevent this disease, wash your hands regularly with soap and water. Keep your environment clean and properly fumigate your surroundings if you have pests around. Report any suspicious symptoms in yourself or anyone to the nearest health facility immediately you notice them. Medical personnel should use personal protective equipment when handling suspected cases and corpses. Be careful when handling dead bushmeat. Spread the message. Tell your neighbors, colleagues, domestic staff, family members and friends. Akwa Ibom is safer when everyone is educated about Ebola. For more information, call the helplines 0812-769-8984, 0812-769-8959, 0812-769-8949. Ebola kills fast. Spread this message faster. This message is brought to you by the Ministry of Information and Communications, Akwa Ibom State.
You're still watching AKBC 45 News at dawn, and I'm Samuel Udofia. Rising 100 and 200 sprint champion and product of the Akwa Ibom NNPC MPN Schools Athletics Championship, Anyekeme Alphonsus, says she is ready to take the world by storm by shattering previous records made by senior athletes in the country. Speaking on the AKBC Midweek Sports Program, Anyekeme Alphonsus said her exposure and training at the national camp had made her understand that the Akwa Ibom person can dominate the field of athletics if only given the right conditions to practice. She thanked Mr. Paul Bassey for initiating the Schools Athletics Championship and Mobile Producing Nigeria for sponsoring it, as she was picked up from the dust, trained, and is now representing Nigeria at international tournaments. While enumerating her exploits at the African Games and the competitions in Mauritius and Ethiopia, Anyekeme Alphonsus charged young athletes to show commitment and hard work in order to achieve greatness.
Went to Ethiopia, and which other country again did you go to?
Mauritius.
And to Mauritius. Just tell us how it was like. How do you see sports in that area? How do you think that we can, if was there anything special that we could bring back to Akwa Ibom State from the experiences you had?
Well,
The Director of Sports, Coach Anyedi Dixon, said the council was happy at the role Mobile played in identifying the athletes, as it afforded them the opportunity of training them to becoming champions. Mr. Dixon said Anyekeme Alphonsus was one of several from the school sports whom the Sports Council took to the National Youth Games in Abuja, and expressed happiness at her gold and silver winning exploits for Nigeria.
It's not only Anyekeme. We have a bunch of talents. We have Comfort. Comfort he runs 1,500, and I'm betting you in the next festival that is coming, she too was produced in Mobile Track and Field. She's young. She's about 17, but she is the best in this country.
Correspondent Justice Odosoro says the Akwa Ibom State NNPC MPN Schools Athletics has been throwing up talents in track and field events. As Akwa United Football Club prepares for its encounter against Wiki Tourist Football Club of Bauchi, the supporters of the club under the aegis of Akwa United Football Club this week received a set of drums and trumpets to boost their support base. The drums and trumpets were donated by the former Akwa United chairman Obong Isong-Isang at the Uyo Township Stadium. Making the donation, Obong Isang said he was impressed with the massive support given by the Akwa United Supporters Club to the football team during its encounters at home and away. He expressed the hope that the donation will ginger the supporters, provide moral and physical support to the club's players, technical crew, management and board.
To redeem my pledge of donating a set of drums and 2 trumpets. I know this is not enough, so let me also use the opportunity to call on other, well-thinking and who love the team to also continue to contribute their lives with the supporters. They will know what more to add.
The chairman, Akwa United Football Club, Akbarawan Seube, commended Obong Isong-Isang for his continued support to the club, noting that only few individuals left office and continued supporting their successors to surpass their records.
Call on other Akwa Ibomites, sports loving, non-sports loving, that this team belongs to all of us. It's not owned by anybody. They call it Akwa United, which means we all own the team. 1 naira that you send to support the team will go a long way in helping us.
Others who extolled the former club chairman and former lawmaker were the chairman of Akwa Starlets, Mr. Emmanuel Iba, former referee and board member Chief E.E. Ebito, and the director of sports, Coach Anyedi Dixon.
I'm highly grateful to our immediate past chairman for what he has done today.
I want to tell the supporters, I want to say that the supporters club, this is all for you.
Responding, the chairman of the supporters club and some executive members expressed happiness at the gesture and called on others to emulate Obong Isang. United States Secretary of State Mr. John Kerry has welcomed Saudi Arabia's proposed 5-day ceasefire in Yemen and says Saudi Arabia and Yemeni rebels are discussing when to start the ceasefire. This and other stories in our foreign news with Mercy Ekere.
Saudi Arabia has proposed a 5-day humanitarian ceasefire in Yemen to allow aid deliveries. The United States has called on Houthi rebels to accept the offer. Saudi's Foreign Minister Adel Al-Jubeir, whose country is leading a coalition conducting airstrikes on Yemeni rebels, announced the proposal after holding visiting U.S. Secretary of State Mr. John Kerry. Saudi Arabia insists that the Houthis must lay down their arms for humanitarian ceasefire to be implemented. The rebels have not yet responded to the appeal. Mr. Neither Saudi Arabia nor the U.S. is talking to each other about sending ground troops into Yemen, this by war to the country's government for foreign intervention by land.
To define the precise details and the date of the commencement of this ceasefire.
This coalition aims to restore the government of exiled President Abdrabbuh Mansur Hadi, who fled the capital, Sana'a, in February. May 8, 2018 marks 70 years to commemorate the anniversary of Allied forces victory in Europe during World War II. Known as Victory in Europe Day, Europeans put hats and banners rejoicing at the defeat of Nazis after the Allied forces formally accepted Germany's unconditional surrender, thus ending the war in Europe. Victory in Europe Day recognition to all war veterans. To mark Russia off flyovers, which included 140 planes and helicopters, new aircrafts, a armored personnel carrier, and self-propelled artillery. Israeli President Mr. Benjamin Netanyahu has got a far-right to form a new government. Jewish Netanyahu 16 in the 120-seat Knesset at the 11th hour. This comes just before a deadline to form a new government expired. Mr. Netanyahu has struggled to put together a coalition government 2 months after his victory.
You can also watch AKBC TV News online by logging on to akbconline.org or follow us on Twitter at AKBC45 or on Facebook at AKBC Channel 45. And now to end the news, the top stories. The Supreme Court has barred the National Assembly from amending the 1999 Constitution. In a ruling yesterday morning, a 7-man panel of justices of the Apex Court, led by the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Mahmood Mohammed, ordered the National Assembly to maintain the status quo until the matter is resolved in June 18. Also, Secretary to the State Government, Engineer Nkeruwem Ekanem, has hailed the Nigerian military for stemming insurgency in the northeast of the country. That's our package. Thanks for watching and good morning.
Accurately informative.